There are plenty of great players to never win the regular season MVP award. In this video, we are naming every NBA team's best non-MVP. Now, I do want to make it clear, if they have an MVP, they're automatically off the list. For example, while Shaq never won an MVP playing for the Celtics, I won't qualify him for the best Celtic to never win an MVP since he won one on the Lakers. My second rule is that I will include active players, since there are so many great choices currently in the NBA who do not have this award. Now, to find out who has the best chances to win MVP for the 2023 season, check out the Game Day's latest article, NBA MVP Odds 2023 NBA Most Valuable Player Predictions. You can do that by clicking the top link down below or heading down to thegameday.com. The best 76er to never win the MVP so far is without question Joel Embiid. He had one of the best single-season best PERs in NBA history, keyword being one of, thanks to the Joker's actual highest single-season PER, but that's a story for a different day. But hopefully Embiid can win an MVP in the near future. The best Bucks player to never win an MVP is easily Sidney Moncrief, considering Giannis and Kareem are both MVP winners. Sidney is a Defensive Player of the Year award winner and an All-Star. He's one of the best two-way Bucks in Bucks history. As for the Bulls, since the GOAT Jordan and D Rose are both MVP winners, this no question goes to Scottie Pippen, who's a 6-time Bulls champion. The Cavaliers is a close call between Mark Price and Kyrie Irving. While I think Price is the overall better point guard, what Kyrie did for Cleveland during that 2016 finals is something that can't be ignored. The value in that is how Kyrie gets this pick. So many Celtics legends have won the MVP award. One of the best Celtics to not win an MVP is one who does have a Finals MVP, and that is Paul Pierce, who won Finals MVP in 2008. The best Clipper to never win an MVP is a super close call between Chris Paul and the Claw Kawhi Leonard. You can seriously make an argument for either player. A good tiebreaker would be what each has done for the franchise. So far, Leonard has done a lot of bench sitting, and Chris has done a bunch of lobbing. It was Lob City after all during his era. Thus, he gets my pick, but I do think Leonard could easily claim this spot in the near future, or win the award himself, which would disqualify him from the list anyway. The best Grizzlies player to never win an MVP is a close call between Pau Gasol, Marc Gasol, and Ja Morant. I think Ja will very soon surpass both Gasol brothers, but for now it's just a tad bit too early. Morant may also win an MVP, which would disqualify him from the list anyway, so my pick is the 2-time champion Pau Gasol. The best Hawks player to never win an MVP is easily Dominique Wilkins. Trae Young can one day claim this spot, but by then he might win an MVP, which would disqualify him from this list. As for the Heat, the best player to never win an MVP is probably the best player to never win an MVP period, regardless of team, and that's the 3-time champion Dwyane Wade. The best Hornets player to never win an MVP award is one of the best defenders in their franchise history, and that's Alonzo Mourning, who did win a ring playing for the Heat. The best Jazz player to never win an MVP is easily John Stockton, who you can form an argument as the best Jazz player period. It's a debatable argument, but you can certainly make a legitimate case for him. The best Kings player all time is the MVP Oscar Robertson, but the best to never win that award is Nate Tiny Archibald, who won a scoring title with the Kings, putting up an insane 34 points per game in that season. As for the Knicks, since Willis Reed is an MVP, this is a close call between Walt Frazier and Patrick Ewing. What helps Patrick's case is that Walt played with Willis Reed, so you can argue that Walt was more of the second option, whereas Patrick was the first option on his teams. Thus, he gets this spot. The best Laker to never win an MVP is a really close call between Jerry West and Elgin Baylor. Both are Laker legends and basketball legends. They have entirely different skill sets, but Jerry did manage to lead his team all the way to the title, which is why the logo gets this spot, but you can definitely put a great argument for the legendary Elgin Baylor. May he rest in peace. The best Orlando Magic player to never win an MVP is easily Dwight Howard, who has won many Defensive Player of the Year awards, but not the MVP. As for the Mavericks, this is a close call between Luka Doncic and Jason Kidd. I think Luka can very soon overtake Jason, but by the time that happens, he may have already won the award himself, thus disqualifying him. So I'm giving this to the player who is second all-time in steals and assists, and that is Jason Kidd. Speaking of Jason Kidd, the best Nets player to never win MVP is Jason, though Vince Carter is a really close second. I'm taking Jason over Vince simply because Jason led his team to the finals. The best Nuggets player to never win an MVP is a close call between Carmelo Anthony and Alex English. This is hard because they both play similar positions, have similar scoring roles, but Anthony is the slightly better scorer and better rebounder, so for that he gets this spot. The best pacer to never win an MVP is the best pacer of all time, and that's Reggie Miller. The best Pelicans player to never win an MVP is a close call between Chris Paul and Anthony Davis. While Davis is a champion, Chris Paul has been to deeper playoff runs as the #1 option / team's best player, where Anthony won a ring as the #2 option. The best Piston to never win an MVP is one of the best players period to never win an MVP, and that's easily Isaiah Thomas. The best Raptor to never win an MVP is a really close call between Vince Carter and Kawhi Leonard. While Vince spent much more time in Toronto, what Leonard was able to deliver them was of more value, and that being an NBA championship, which is how he gets the spot. The best Rocket to never win an MVP is the Big E, Elvin Hayes, who somehow didn't win Rookie of the Year with the Rockets putting up 28 points per game and 17 rebounds. But that's because the Rookie of the Year that year also went to the MVP rookie Wes Unseld. The Big E is a 12-time All-Star and a Hall of Fame player. The best Spur to never win an MVP is a super close call between George Gervin and Kawhi Leonard. In terms of value, you gotta give this one to Kawhi, who won Finals MVP with the Spurs, helping them win a ring. The best Suns player to never win an MVP is a close call between Amari Stoudemire, Devin Booker, and Chris Paul. Since you can argue that Chris Paul is the engine of the Suns offense because he is their floor general, I will give it to the player who led their team to the finals. Amari is a great player, but you can argue that he was the second fiddle to MVP Steve Nash, and neither of them made it to the finals on the Suns, which is why Chris Paul gets this spot. The best Thunder / Supersonics player to never win an MVP is easily the glove Gary Payton, who was one of the best two-way and best defensive guards in NBA history. He did win a championship at the end of his career with the Heat, but he could have won one in his prime had he not run into the GOAT of the sport, Michael Jordan. The best Timberwolves player to never win an MVP is a super close call between Karl Anthony Towns and Kevin Love. Both are 3-time Timberwolves All-Stars, and I think Love's long time as a third wheel in Cleveland has made a lot of people forget what kind of beast he was in Minnesota. He won a rebounding champ there, grabbing 15 boards per game. Cat might be able to top Kevin Love one day in the future, but by then he might win an actual MVP. Who knows? He's only 26, and most players don't reach their peak till around 29 and 30 before they start to decline. So for now, this spot goes to Kevin Love. As for the Trailblazers, if you count Damian's bubble MVP as an actual MVP, then this no question goes to Clyde Drexler. If you don't count it, you can still give this one to Clyde, but there's a debate to be held. Ultimately, Clyde wins that debate as he led the Blazers to the finals, whereas Damian hasn't been able to do that yet. So many Warriors all-time greats are also MVPs, so my pick has to go to the 4-time champion Splash brother Klay Thompson, who is one of the best shooters to ever play the game of basketball. Since Moses Malone, Michael Jordan, and Wes Unseld are all MVPs, the best Wizard to never win an MVP is easily the Big E, Elvin Hayes, who won a championship with the Bullets in 1978. So here is every NBA team's best non-MVP. Let me know what you think of this list and what you want to see next. Don't forget to dunk on that like button and subscribe with notifications turned on. I'm Rebound Rewind, and I'll fast forward to you later.